Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am the Saffron Man for RedVsRed podcast, and my friend Sporadiclese here, and we're going to be doing some for or against right here. So our first for or against of the day, Sporadiclese, is how long will Eric Ten Hag last? I think you're doing against this week. I'm doing for. Would you like me to start, and so you can rebuttal my argument, or would you like to start and vice versa?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess is the time frame that we're going to put on it whoever is making the first argument?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we can make it work.
Sure, go ahead and argue for, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. You can try anyway. But look, everyone's really angry today. I get it. There were boos and jeers in the crowd from like the 8th minute onwards. It wasn't pretty. But Eric Ten Hag didn't put those. Didn't give the ball away every time. You can only try and teach someone so much. And we talked about in the main podcast, of how blame should be placed not just on the players individually as Ten Hag, but Ruud van Nistelrooy as a coach, Rene Huck, Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, James. Everyone needs to take responsibility, but everyone's also new at the same time. So we can't put blame onto people like Kobe Mainu because he's a new young player, but we can put blame onto people like Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Rashford because they've been around a little bit longer. They're professionals. They're big grown-up boys, right? So they should be able to take a little bit of criticism. And as does Ten Hag. Ten Hag has probably had the most criticism out of any manager in possibly Premier League history for the last 2.5 years since he's joined. Especially the FA Cup final, mate, every man and his dog had written him off as to be sacked, and everyone was writing articles that he's gone through a lot, and he's shown that he is resilient and he's loyal, and he does try to get the best out of his team. Like, Sporadiclese is going to argue that the players should take probably next to no other responsibility here, but he picked the same 11 as Ten Hag did as well. So it's not like we're all coming up with different number 11s to pick from. The players didn't turn up. The players didn't do their passing. They didn't do their job that they signed up for. Ten Hag's done his job. He's done the training. He's done the speeches. He's done the tactics. He's done his pick the 11, and he's standing there on the touchline. He's done his job. It's then up to the players to perform. And they haven't, and they didn't, and it's just not working out players-wise. So how long will Eric Ten Hag last? He has at least until January. At least until January, because that's when other managers will become available. So at the moment, there's no one that can come in other than Ole, who I wouldn't mind, by the way, but I still wouldn't have it. Eric Ten Hag's our manager until at least January, where other managers might get sacked or fired and become available. Until then, there's just no one around. So that's kind of where I'm at, Sporadiclese.
Yeah, well,
Against.
and I can definitely understand that, but I think especially even with this Manchester United team, we've seen kind of an uptick in form after the manager gets fired. It happened under Ole, and we started to get a lot of performances. Out of the team, and then it can kind of die out. So I mean, if we're losing each and every game for the next month and we're down in 15th place, like how can you continue to argue that that Eric Ten Hag is going to be the right one if we're so far down in our Europa League group that we're basically going to get knocked out unless we win every single match. We do still have the backup of Ruud van Nistelrooy at the very least. I think, yes, there is some onus that needs to obviously be put on the players, but if the system itself is not working and the players don't understand their parts in the system, that is on the manager. And I think we saw quite a bit of it today where people aren't picking out the right passes. They're not in the right positions to be able to attack while still maintaining their defensive integrity against a team that you know is going to press you. We lost. It seemed like we had many opportunities where we were losing the ball in either our defensive half or around midfield because people aren't making themselves available, and we're too focused on trying to build out of the back that we don't realize sometimes you just have to get the ball out of your defensive half. Sometimes you are going to have to give the ball away for the sake of not giving up an opportunity on goal. And I feel like it's been ingrained in these players. I just have to hold on to the ball, period. It doesn't matter if I give the ball away. I can't just boot the ball up the field and try and be more direct. And I think it's something that has cost us on more than one occasion. Erik ten Hag is still, at least in some way, shape, or form, supposed to be the person that is getting the best out of his team week in, week out, building up their morale. He's responsible for putting the best 11 out, which I think he basically did today. But you can still put the best 11 out and have a bad performance because they're not in the right headspace. And it's the manager's job to get them in the right headspace, to want to play for the badge, and to be able to get the best out of them each and every week. And he's just not doing it. He's had multiple seasons to do it already, and it's just not happening. He had multiple seasons where he was the person that was deciding who's coming in, who do I want to leave. He got everything that he's wanted thus far, and we still don't look like a Premier League quality team. Postecoglou has had so much less time to be able to build a Tottenham team, and they already look like they are in a better spot than we are after over 2 years of Erik ten Hag.
But what I would say is, what's Postecoglou won? What's Mikel Arteta won? What's all these great managers that are performing well in the league? They're not winning any silverware. So even though we're playing as badly, mate, this was the worst performance I've seen in a long time. This was really bad against Spurs. But yet, we've still got 2 trophies. We know how bad our club has been over the last 10 years and what's been... yes, you mentioned the manager bounce back every time we change it. That's because our foundations of a club were so poor that everyone... we needed a bounce back, a new manager, because they had a little bit more control of what we do then. We haven't had a new manager under this regime, under this, setup. It's basically been built around, not built for Ten Hag, just built around Ten Hag. And it's like Ten Hag is kind of the last piece that's still part of the furniture or whatever that you've kind of kept. But yeah, I don't know. It's he's just won 2 trophies in our worst ever. We know how bad things are. This is the worst we've ever been in a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and yet he's found a way. Despite everything, despite the pressure, despite the performances, despite the egos, despite the financial structures and pressures, despite all the changes going around, despite the roof leaking, he still managed to find 2 trophies in 2 seasons for us. And gosh, he's outperformed Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Rene Hack, Louis van Gaal. He's outperformed everyone pretty much. And I think
in terms of outperforming, we won a Europa League again with Jose Mourinho, which put us into the Champions League. So, that was our last major trophy, and I would argue that that's more significant than an FA Cup.
But he gets that taken away because he slated the youngsters. You can't come out and blame the youngsters of the youth academy, and he lost so much respect for the way he acted towards the end. He basically got himself fired. Much like Cristiano Ronaldo, he got himself fired. I don't know what it is about that kind of mentality, but they got themselves fired. Ten Hag is remaining professional throughout. And I just think...
And I think that Ten Hag's also had a bit of luck on his side. There were multiple games that we played in the lead-up to that FA Cup final that we probably shouldn't have won. We should have lost to Coventry City, for God's sake.
But we didn't. So how long will Erik ten Hag last? How long will he last? Stick to the question.
So, again, I think we're looking at, December. But if he continues to lose or get draws in the Premier League, if we do not start winning in the next 4 to 6 games, we're going to place lower than 8th by the end of the season. So something's going to have to change if we continue to come up with these poor performances where we're not scoring and we're just bleeding goals.
I can't tell you how much I disagree. What do you guys think? Down below, let us know that. Like, how long will Erik ten Hag last? Are we going to wake up to the papers tomorrow morning and he's going to be all over him, or is he going to be the Christmas present to all the haters, or is he going to get his time towards January, even during the summer, even though you're all frustrated? Just how long do you think it's going to be realistic perspective? I can't call this one either way, man. I honestly I believe what I said. I know you believe what you said, so I think we'll just have to kind of leave it there. Maybe we'll come back to it after the next two. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one then. So remember, I'm for, Sporadiclese is against. Bruno deserves to be our captain. So I went first last time, Sporadiclese. Go ahead and start this one. Why you think Bruno doesn't deserve to be our captain?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past, we've seen instances of him getting animated and being, being the galvanizer of our team, and really kicking everybody into gear. He's basically the extension of our manager. In terms of being on the field, he's the one that's supposed to know our setup the best. He's supposed to be the one that's coordinating everything and motivating the players that are not performing to the best of their abilities. And we have seen absolutely zero of that this whole season from him. I have not seen him getting excited and getting in people's faces about how they're performing, because there's been a distinct lack of performance thus far this season, and it should be on Bruno. But if Bruno's also not performing well, it makes it very difficult for him to have to look at other players and say, what are you doing? I need you to perform better. This is not the standard that we play at. If he's not playing at that standard, that's a cause for concern. And so I think that's what we've been seeing all of this season, is his performances just aren't there, and almost the rest of the club is kind of feeding off of that energy. There's a lot of changes that have been made in terms of our starting 11 this season, and it's not glued, it's not meshed together, and he kind of has to be the person that's going to bring all of those pieces into play whenever we're actually on the pitch, and it's just not happening. He's not getting. Sometimes we've seen him in the past being yellow carded for having, animated conversations with the refs because he doesn't feel that we're getting, treated fairly. And, at this point we're not even putting ourselves in the positions for him to even feel the need, or he has something that he can really argue for. I think you got to look at it and say, your performances are lacking. It's bleeding into the play of the rest of the other players, and we need more from you. And if you're not going to continue to hold yourself to the standard that you've been at over the last couple of years, then do we need another captain? And I think, it's a question that needs to be asked at this point. Just I see his head down almost as much as I see Rashford's head down anymore, and that's a cause for concern for me.
They're two completely different players. I mean, so I would say to you, the reason why I wouldn't sack Ten Hag is because there is no other option. And the reason why Bruno's our captain is not only because 2 or 3 other people turned down the opportunity to be our captain beforehand, but there is no other option in order for Bruno to be captain. And plus, he is a leader on the pitch and off the pitch, and how he carries himself. Yes, he hasn't had the best start of the season, but take into consideration the last 5 years, he's been pretty much MVP for the last 5 years. He's everything good about Manchester United within that dreadful time that we've had. It's been down to part of him. He's the leading light. He's the leading example. And he's allowed to have a bad couple of games. Do I wish he could get better and do better? Absolutely. But he's bound to have a bad patch of form, and when others around him aren't playing well either, which is what happened today at Spurs, and no one else really had a good game, it made matters worse that he got sent off, and I get it, but he's still a captain. Roy Keane was our captain for God knows how long, and he got sent off how many times? It's okay. It's all right. He's showing some. Yes, we lost our heads, and he shouldn't have done that. It wasn't really a red card, but other players lost their heads as well as a result of that. So yeah, I mean, it could be better. I think we have other leaders on the pitch that can be captain in the future. I think Rasmus Højlund could be a captain in the future. If he has one or two goals of 20 plus a season, he could be that leadership guy that we go to in order to get us out of the tricky games. De Ligt could be a captain in the future. If Onana's captain, I might support someone else. But Martinez could be a captain, and Iwata could be a captain in the future as well. But look, he is our captain now. Right now, there's no other viable options. He is our maestro in the midfield. We just need to show him some more love and support him. He's our guy. He's our captain. And no one else that you can name will be a better captain as of right now for this season.
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, if I were to have to pick one other person out of that lineup that we have, that we've kind of said is our best 11, I would say Martinez.
Wow.
Because he does get animated. He does go in for those challenges. He comes out and he says, "You are not doing this to me, not today." He's not going to take crap from his own players. And he can definitely galvanize people into, like, if I had him yelling and screaming at me, I'm not going to try and step in and put any feet wrong. Like, he's somebody that really can do it, I think. If there were to be anybody else on the pitch that was going to do it, it would probably be him.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I just think when you give some people that responsibility, like Harry Kane changed. Like, I keep talking about Harry Kane, but when he was a striker, when he became captain of England especially, he changed and decided to take responsibility to go deeper, like whatever it is. But I mean, sometimes the responsibility of a captain changes a person. The added responsibility on the pitch either affects them mentally or they do some things different and like they wouldn't normally do. I don't want that in Lisandro Martinez. I think we should just allow him to be him. He leads by example anyway. We have leaders on the pitch that don't need to be captain, and I think Lisandro Martinez is definitely one of those people.
If he's leading by example already, then like you're making my point for me.
No, there's a difference between leading by example, like Yip Stam, the big Dutch man, and then being a captain like Roy Keane or Bruno Fernandes. You can lead by example by not being a captain per se, right? There are other leaders on the pitch that aren't kept, but to actually carry through that team. I mean, you go and ask someone like Yap Stam, and like, would he rather be captain in the Champions League final? Because Roy Keane was suspended or injured, and he couldn't play. So I can't remember who was captain there, but it might have been Beck's. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, like there are different forms of leadership. Not every leader can be a captain. Not every captain is a leader per se vocally. I don't think Martinez is vocally that leader either, and he needs to focus on everything going on in front of him rather than have to tell Marcus to get wide or Garnacho to drop deep. I don't think it quite works. But I agree with what you say. He's got the right characteristics. I just don't think he's. I don't think he's ready for that additional responsibility on the pitch. He's got enough on his plate at the moment,
No, I mean it all seems like we're trying to build out of the back and do all of these things, and like he's one of those people that's going to have the best vision, the best look at where everybody's at. So in terms of coordination, I think that he is a bit more vocal, and that he definitely can kind of provide the stability that we need. So I don't know. I mean, I could go either way. I think that I think I'm gonna have to give this one to you though. I think by the end of the season we'll still see Bruno being being the man with the armband. So
yeah, as I'll take that win gracefully. Onto your argument of Lisandro Martinez being in a position. I mean, there's no other better position. That's why goalkeepers get given a captaincy, right? Because they've got the whole pitch in front of them. Schmeichel was our captain for a long time. Van der Sar was our captain for a long time. I think Tim Howard was captain for a time as well. We like giving the goalkeeper the captaincy, but I don't have much faith in Onana at the moment. So I don't think captaincy would be the right move for him in this stage of the career at the moment. But we'll see. But hey, a win's a win for the Saffron Man. That's what I like to see. On to the third question. What we're going to do, Sporadiclese, how long will Garnacho wait? So, Garnacho is a prodigy. He's a prized asset. People want him all around the world. He's only going to get better. We're obviously not, doing too well at the moment. And even though Garnacho is part of our cult history, my question to you, Sporadiclese, how long will he wait until he wants to replicate his idol Ronaldo in Real Madrid, or go to Juventus, or go somewhere else, and actually win things on a regular basis? Because if Real Madrid come knocking, it's going to be very hard for him to say no to a pay rise, more minutes, more trophies, better weather, bigger stadium, and I don't know, man. That's my main fear, that Garnacho could. But you're against. How long would he wait? Go for it.
Well, I think if he were to go to Real Madrid, he's not going to see the minutes that he would like to. But that's not to say that there are not other clubs that would definitely want him. And I think he's somebody that should be winning trophies. I think that he's somebody that should be getting regular minutes. I mean, in so many of the games that we've seen him play in recently, he's the person that's bringing so much energy and life into our attack. He's willing to take people on. He's had some of the best opportunities at goals. He's putting himself into the right positions. He's got the makings of, probably one of the best wingers, in his generation. I think he is that good. Last season was a breakout season for him. We finished 8th. If he has another really good season this season, and we still finish low in the table, we're not playing for Champions League football, you got to wonder whether or not he's going to want to wait past the next big transfer window in the summer. He just has too much quality to be languishing in the middle of the table in the Premier League whenever he should be winning trophies. And yeah, you can say, oh well, he's won the FA Cup. And that's great, but I don't think the FA Cup is what he aspires to win. I think he wants to win the Premier League. He wants to win in the major 5 leagues. He wants to be on those league-winning sides. He wants to be competing in Champions League finals. And right now, we're struggling to even maintain Champions League football year in, year out. And so, as much as I would hate to see him go, I would love to see him thrive and to be able to put some of that silverware in his cabinet. But it's got to start with getting minutes, and I think he should definitely be one of the starters. He should be one of the first 11 on the team sheet regularly. And if he's not getting that regular time, I don't think he's going to want to stick around, because he's already shown that he's such a good performer for us. Even whenever we look bad as a team, he has the moments, he has the bit of inspiration that can really galvanize the rest of the team. He kind of is the attacker that is kind of leading by example. Whenever you look at everybody that's on the pitch, everybody that's involved in our offense, he's probably, him and honestly Amad Diallo, they look like 2 of our best strikers in terms of goal scoring threat, in terms of getting in behind the defense. And if all of that is just going to waste, and he's not scoring goals, he's not getting the assists, he could very well start looking elsewhere as early as next summer.
I think we all want him to stay, but I mean, we all understand the pull of a club like Real Madrid, and it's going to be, and we are in a project of transition. And I saw Garnacho walk out the stadium today with his kid. He had his Manchester United daddy shirt on, which I thought was crazy, considering, yeah, he's only a youngster himself. How old is he? Let me just click on his profile here real quick. So he's 20. So he had his little nipper there with him as well, which is pretty cool. So maybe he's bringing down roots. He's laying down roots of the area, and he wants to stay. Maybe he doesn't want to move abroad. I don't know, but I at some point Real Madrid are going to come calling. They're going to put out a record transfer offer, and it's either going to be either us to either say yes or no. But then at some point it might be down to him. So no, do you know what? That is a good price. I want to go to Real Madrid and emulate my hero Ronaldo, because that is his hero, and all he wants to do is emulate him. So we'll see. But he's not that prolific yet. To your point, I don't think he's been in prolific positions, but I think his best takeaway so far has been like 15 goals in the season, something like that. So he needs to up his prolificness in terms of go. But in terms of how long would he wait, he might be reevaluating his situation on a season by season basis. Whether he gets an upgraded contract, or whether he gets all the minutes he wants, whether we win trophies or not, I think he's evaluating his position, as many young players do, season by season basis, and we'll have to see. Will Ten Hag still be it? Does he like Ten Hag? Would he like the new person coming in? Does he want Ten Hag to stay? Does he want to continue training with Kobe Mainoo and all the other youngsters coming through? So does that excite him? I don't know what motivates him. So yeah, I just think each season we run the risk of losing him if that previous season didn't go right. We need to make sure that he's part of the project and part of the adventure of Manchester United, to keep him entwined with what's going on. So it's going to be a tough one, but I can see a similar situation coming down the line where Real Madrid pop up with like 130, 140 mil, take it or leave it, and we end up taking it. Even though I would love to see him stay, I think sometimes money talks, and we're on a revamp right now, so money is going to change it. But yeah, what do you think, Sporadic? Do you think he's going to stay or go?
Well, I didn't hear you really arguing for him staying.
Well, it's being smart. I mean, like I said, mentioned his roots. He's got family here now, and he's getting minutes and everything else. But it's real hard to say no to Real Madrid, and we all know he loves Ronaldo. So maybe he wants the opportunity to emulate him at Real Madrid. I don't know what motivates him like that. It's my fear that the lure of Real Madrid in our situation, in their situation, and in his situation, it's just going to be too good for all parties to turn down. So that's my main worry.
If you're a backup to like a Vinicius Junior, and you're winning La Liga and you're competing for Champions League, I would say that that's definitely a step up from being behind Marcus Rashford, placing 8th in the Premier League, not even playing Champions League football. So, and if Ronaldo really is his hero and his idol, then there's only so long that you're going to want to wait to break out into the first team. I think a lot of his decisions are going to end up becoming like, what are we doing with Marcus Rashford? I don't think he's going to want to play second fiddle. I think Amad Diallo is somebody that we can build around on the right. If Marcus Rashford doesn't find form, then Garnacho, he might stay. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to want to win trophies, and he's going to want to be part of a winning side. And right now we're going to wait another 3.5 years until we're going to start looking to even win the Premier League, based on what Omar Barada is saying.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of in agreement there that this is not an overnight thing. It's something where I think we have a good manager, and yes, things have not worked out thus far, but we have also had so many issues that we've had to tackle in terms of personnel on the pitch, in the squad, what's our rotation look like, because we're struggling to be able to do that on a regular basis and still produce results. If anything, it looks like our second team is getting better results than our primary, our first team. So like maybe we look at that, but this is a time whenever Eric Ten Hag is finally going to have a better backing in terms of the management above him to be able to not have to make all of these decisions. So, and I think if Ten Hag gets his way, then Marcus Rashford stays and actually finds a bit of form. But the thing is, he's going to need that form.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't think that if Marcus Rashford continues to perform poorly and Garnacho continues to come on as a substitute or play in a position that he doesn't want to play in as badly on a different side, then he could very well be looking to move on. So I would hate to see that. I love him as a player. I hope that he has many good years with us and that he wins a lot more trophies with us, but it's tough to say that he's gonna that he's for sure gonna do that. So
yeah, I'm gonna give that one to you. It's gonna be tough either way, whichever he decides to do, but it's gonna be his decision ultimately, which also makes me kind of both secure and a bit worried at the same time. So we'll see what happens. Yep. But let us know what you guys think down below. Obviously, for each of those three statements, we've got a colourful section there for you. Let us know in the comment section. Make sure you hit the like, the follow, and subscribe. Give us a cheeky little share around as well. We're a new channel trying to get out there, so if you want to help out and send the channel into a few Discords or something, that would be great. We get 100 subscribers and we start up our own Discord and try and build a community around Manchester United fans. So if you want to be a part of that, then you know what to do. I've been the Saffron Man. Thanks for joining me today, Sporadiclese. You had a good time?
Yeah. I mean, it was, to your point, a good therapy session. I think we both needed to vent a little bit after a performance like that. It's best to just let it out rather than hold it in. So I hope we don't have to have too many more of these, and that we can kind of right the ship, because I'd love to see us winning more, or at least performing better. Really. Getting in and being a part of the football matches a little bit more, as opposed to the whole team looking a bit like bystanders.
Yeah, it is what it is. But really tough day against Spurs. I think we made Spurs look so good and they made us look so poor. So yeah, onwards and upwards now. You'll see me again on Tuesday. I'll be giving you latest news and reactions, maybe a cheeky prediction to our next game. But we'll see. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please show your support. Hope you enjoyed it. Get active in the comments section. And we'll see you guys next time. Till then, peace.